Most people would look at Tfue and never expect him to be a professional gamer. The thing is, he wasn't just a professional, he was one of the best ever. He completely revolutionized the game of Fortnite and dominated the competitive scene, terrorizing any lobby that he was a part of. Obviously, we know he was talented, but actually how good was Prime Tfue? Well, first, we have to find out how he actually became so good at Fortnite in the first place. While most professional gamers spent their childhood playing video games, Tfue did the exact opposite. Since he lived right by the beach in Florida, most of his time was spent longboarding, skimboarding, or doing anything outside. But one day, his older brother started a YouTube channel called Juke Squad. On this channel, he uploaded videos of them doing a bunch of random stuff, but one kind of video caught on, and that was their pranks. After a while, Tfue started to get into video games like Call of Duty, but the first one he put a lot of time into was Destiny. Although he was really late to the party, he was insanely talented from the start, breaking tons of world records. It was obvious that he was just good at whatever he did. After this, he started to fall in love with a new genre of video game, Battle Royales. While he would play a couple different games like PUBG, the main one he played was H1Z1. And once again, he was able to consistently break records, and this was the first game he actually went pro in. He made $5,000 in the 2 tournaments he competed in, but sadly, H1Z1 and its competitive scene quickly disappeared due to bad decisions from the developers. But luckily, this all unfolded at the perfect time for the release of a new Battle Royale, Fortnite. With previous experience in Battle Royale games, this was the best case scenario for him. He started streaming Fortnite very early on, and since he already had some viewership from H1Z1, this helped kickstart his career. Back in the early days of Fortnite, the easiest way to blow up was to just be good at the game. If you were talented, people were going to find you eventually, and it was only a matter of time before more and more viewers tuned in. And on April 2nd, 2018, something happened that changed the trajectory of his career and his life forever. It was just another day playing solos on stream when he got into a game with Ninja. At the time, Ninja was the undisputed GOAT of Fortnite, and he was averaging almost 100,000 viewers. Because of this, eliminating him meant everybody would know your name. And that is when this iconic 1v1 went down. Once this happened, Ninja's viewers flocked to Tfue's stream and began to realize just how good he was. One of these people was FaZe Banks. Banks saw his potential and decided it would be a great idea to sign him to FaZe. Obviously, that didn't have the best ending, but we'll get to that later. With these two massive things happening at the same time, Tfue went from averaging 300 viewers on Twitch to 10,000 overnight. From there, all of his social medias went crazy, and this was just the beginning. One thing separated him from everybody else, and that was how much he changed Fortnite as a whole. He was constantly discovering new exploits and using them in creative ways on stream. From the Tfue Peak, which was named after him, where you could shoot people without being seen, to destroying the entirety of Tilted Towers in 5 seconds, Epic Games had to release entire patches just because of him. Since it was less than a year after Fortnite's release, the game didn't have an established competitive scene. So this meant the way people would compete against each other was a kill race. Kill races were played 1v1 or 2v2, and they worked by having everybody ready up on the same team, and whoever got more eliminations would win. With the game's popularity and craving for real competition, the weekly $25,000 Friday Fortnite tournament was born. These featured 32 duos made up of the best players and biggest content creators in the world. Of course, Tfue fit in that category, so he received an invite to play. While he played the first one with Banks and didn't do too well, he decided to team up with Cloaksy for the remaining weeks. In their second tournament together, they cruised through the bracket, easily making it to the grand finals before facing off with none other than Ninja. The Tfue vs Ninja rivalry was just as massive as the low taper fade meme is today, so everybody was watching this. After the first 2 games, they were tied, so there was one more match to decide the winner. In the end, Tfue and Cloaksy went on to win, and this was just the beginning of their dominant run as a duo. After this, it was surprising to see him with any less than 30,000 viewers on Twitch, and his YouTube hit 1 million subscribers. By the way, 99% of my viewers are not subscribed, so please sub if you see this. They won 4 of the last 8 Friday Fortnite tournaments, and by this time, the competitive Fortnite scene was starting to develop. But right as this happened, Tfue randomly got banned. At first, nobody knew the real reason for this, so most people assumed he was cheating. It turned out that was not the case. He actually bought an account so he could have OG skins, which was against Epic Games' terms of service. This could have been the end of his entire career, but luckily he wasn't technically banned. If an account is found to be purchased, instead of being banned, it just gets deactivated. This means that he was able to make a new account and continue playing and competing in tournaments. Thankfully, this did not keep him from getting invited to the future competitions. The first real tournaments as we know today were hosted during the summer skirmish starting in July of 2018. The prize pools for these were absolutely ridiculous, with $1 million being given out each week. Tfue performed decently in these, but definitely not up to his standards. standards. At the end of the summer skirmish competitions, there was a solo LAN event hosted at PAX West. Solos was his specialty, so most people expected him to win this. And when it came to his heat, he did not disappoint.
That's exactly what he's gonna do. Doesn't want to take too much fall damage, gonna push to his zone. He's in the bottom fighting now. Tfue gets another one. That's 5 elims. Makes it to top 3. 2 left.
And all the loot's falling to Tfue. He's trying to drop on down. Can he drop his opponent in time? Tfue spraying out the build. Here he goes. Are you kidding me?
But finals did not go as planned, with him finishing in 27th place. However, the fall skirmish would be a much different story, and this is where Tfue's prime truly began. The first week of the fall skirmish, he finished second in squads with Cloxy, Zexro, and Creo. The second week of competition was a solo tournament with a $250,000 prize pool, and unlike the recent LAN, Tfue was not playing around.
Honestly, I wish I got hit a little bit more than that game, dude. That was too easy.
So Tfue all the way at the top, coming out with 14 points. So you're right, man. He maintains his point lead.
There was another solo tournament 2 weeks after he won this one, and once again, he picked up the win. This time, it was by an even bigger margin, and it was basically agreed upon that he was the best player in the game, and by far. This was also before he completed his greatest career accomplishment. While he had been dominating in solos, team game modes were not going as well. Thankfully, him and Cloxy had one more chance to show up at the fall skirmish LAN at TwitchCon. This tournament had a $2 million prize pool, and 200 duos showed up to compete for it. Tfue and Cloxy won their heat and qualified for finals, once again being the favorites to win. The duo had no plans of letting down everyone who believed in them.
Can't use his heals. Cloxy ticking on down, just 20 health remaining, gets one. Who wound up winning it? Cloxy's down on the low ground as well, I believe. They got it, they did.
One. Are you kidding me? The last second push out into the storm may have changed things.
It's Tfue and Cloxy!
Between the 2 solo tournaments he won and the LAN, Tfue made $350,000 in less than a month. This was the most earnings out of any player by far, and he was truly in a different league. The next big event was the Secret Skirmish. The duo tournament on day 1 was played with completely randomized teams, and Tfue was matched up with Demo. Even with no experience together, Tfue was good no matter who he played with. They ended in 3rd place, and the next day Tfue finished in 7th during the solo tournament. He made it pretty clear that if there was a tournament, he would be at the top of the leaderboard no matter what happened. In Fortnite, it is really hard to win tournaments consistently because of the amount of luck involved, but being able to always perform regardless of circumstance was pretty impressive. The only player even close to him at the time was Bizzle. Bizzle won the solo tournament at Secret Skirmish, but if you put their overall placements side by side, Tfue cleared him with ease. Shortly after this was the beginning of the $30 million Fortnite World Cup. This was the biggest open competition in esports history, and he was not going to miss out. At this point, he was still in his prime and more motivated than ever, so he was putting in countless hours streaming every single day. The first 2 qualifiers did not go his way, but week 3 was a different story. After having only 4 points in the first hour, he decided to go on an absolute tear for the last 2 hours. He won 2 of his next 4 games and only needed one more decent one to secure a spot for the finals in New York. And that's when he did this.
Easy dub.
Dude, you did it. You're
Congrats.
done.
You think I did it?
You
100%.
What if somebody pops off,
It's
dude?
done. No,
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
it's
It's
top
not your
6, yo.
You've locked it in. You 100% qualified.
You think
You're
so?
done. Congratulations.
Oh,
Everything on it.
shit.
Right after qualifying for the World Cup, which was arguably his best achievement yet, Tfue found himself in a ton of drama with FaZe Clan. He revealed that his contract with them was extremely unfair, and this sparked a long legal battle between the 2 parties. Thankfully, this was settled a year later, but it was the first high-profile employment lawsuit in esports history. It exposed just how predatory some esports organizations can be and still are to this day, which I plan to make a video on in the future. While he was able to easily qualify in solos, duos was a different story. Of course, he teamed up with Cloxy, but they were not able to qualify. And the closest they came was in week 4, where they were just 2 points off. It was a disappointment, but making it in solos was still an achievement. Next was the World Cup Finals in New York, which honestly did not go well. He was contested by 3 other players at his drop, meaning that he finished in 67th place. A lot of people called him washed because of this, but there honestly wasn't much he could do considering the circumstances. You would think this marked the end of Tfue's dominant prime, but he was not done just yet. In the first 4 qualifiers of Season X's Trio FNCS, he played with Cloxy in 72 hours. They were all good friends, but eventually this trio had a falling out. Although they weren't placing bad by any means, they were not winning, and that's all they wanted to do. Since Tfue was not confident in his team, he decided to leave them and play the last qualifier with Kanata and Fiber. Nowadays, Kanata is a household name, but back then nobody knew him, so everyone thought their chances of making the grand finals were non-existent. This brand new trio had one chance to place top 8 out of every team on the NA East region, and not only did they do that, they won the entire tournament. His decision to leave a team he was already guaranteed a spot in heats with was ballsy, but it ended up paying off. However, this is where Tfue's competitive career started to go downhill. He finished 22nd in this grand finals, then 7th in squad FNCS right after that. It was obvious to his fans that he was starting to fall behind as the younger player base was getting better and better at the game. His drive to compete was also not the same as it used to be. This is mainly because the prize pools were much lower than before and the fact that he'd already accomplished almost everything he could. The last FNCS he truly took serious was Chapter 2 Season 2, where he duoed with Scoped. To be completely honest, they were a really good duo and had a great chance to win the FNCS. But sadly, there was one thing holding them back from this, and that was their ego. They landed at the Grotto this season, which had Brutus's minigun. It was extremely overpowered, so obviously another good team was going to contest them, and that team was Chap and AV. Both duos spent the entire season trying to make the other team leave the drop spot, but nobody ever did. The grand finals ended up being a complete grief fest, and both teams placed pretty bad because of it. I honestly think if Tfue and Scope landed somewhere uncontested, they probably could have won this tournament. After wasting the entire season, he fell out of love with Fortnite, started streaming way less, and stopped competing altogether. While he did come back to play the occasional build tournament and zero builds, he never took Fortnite seriously ever again. Now that we've summed up his career, I guess it's time to answer the question, how good was Prime Tfue? And it's pretty simple, he was the best player in the game. Like I said, from the beginning of 2018 to the middle of 2019, nobody came close to him. He had the most earnings, most consistent placements, and completely revolutionized the game as we know it. He was just on another level. Nowadays, Tfue is enjoying life, uploading the occasional vlog, and streaming games on Kick here and there. I think if he wasn't so successful when it came to content creation, there's a good chance that he would have been the greatest Fortnite player of all time. But making so much money changed his priorities and ruined his drive to compete. Epic Games was also making terrible decisions, especially with the competitive scene, and I won't even talk about how broken aim assist was back then. Regardless, he is one of the best players the game has ever seen. Let me know if you think anyone was better than him during his prime. I want to make more videos like this, so let me know who you want to see next in the comments. Also, check out the video on your screen right now and subscribe so I can hit 100K.